Hello guys, Daniel from Soundwaving here, and today we are going to make a track using only one sample pack. Is it even possible? Let's find out!
I will be using FL Studio today because I know you guys, most of you are using FL Studio, and also is the easiest way to show you what the pack contains and how you can use these loops in your own beats and productions, right? So if you go to the folder, we can see kits, loops and one-shots. Kits are ready to go Songstarters, which you can just use if you're out of inspiration, you know, or have a writer's block and you just can't come up with anything. Loops folder are basically a bunch of different loops like bass, drums, keys and multi-instrument, effects, synths and vocals. And if you want to create your own drum patterns or your own melodies, you can easily go to the one-shots folder, and we have a couple of basses and drums and percussions to spice up your existing drum loops or just create your own from scratch, right? So let's go to the loops folder and I will show you a couple of them and the ways you can use them while writing your own beat and how to make a complete beat from scratch just using all the loops from the pack. Firstly, let's go to the synth lead loops, and we have a couple of additional melodies that you can use if you have your own idea already into the beat, and let's listen to them. As you hear, it's more like an additional melodies, but if we want to create a bass for our beat, we need to take a Songstarter because it's the best fit when it comes to a ready catchy idea. And let me show what Songstarters does our pack have. I really like that loop, so let's drag it into our timeline, and also says BPM to 120. If you want, you can play just with pitch and timing to come up with your own loops, you know, and to make it more interesting in different ways. Also, you can use Slice 6 to make different chops of that loop to create your own melody. Maybe let's play with the pitch right now to hear how it can sound in other keys. So because it's a ready-to-go Songstarter, we already have a bass pattern here, and also we have additional melody. I showed you a couple of loops of additional melodies in the synth folder, but in that case we don't need any of them. We can just use that loop and go straight to the drum section, where we can choose the drum loop that fits this melody loop the best. I really like that Juice drum loop, but the problem with it is 130 BPM while our melody loop is 120. You say we can just take this drum loop and stretch it, but the problem it will be sounding a little bit unnatural, and to avoid that, the better idea is just to make our BPM 130 and our melody loop will be already matched to that BPM because we stretched it earlier. Let's listen the drum loop in combination with the melody loop and do some little adjustments. Maybe let's make the drum loop a little bit quieter. So it don't interfere with the melody too much. And maybe let's make our melody loop a little bit quieter, you know, because in R&B the drums should be the main focus and the melody should sound just like additional element, you know, or just a little bit more in the background in this case. I decided to make some adjustments to our melody loop, but it comes mostly to the mixing. So what I want to do is just to add a little bit of bass, because as for me, when this song starter goes to the song, it lacks bass a little bit. Let's listen to the loop again and listen what bends we can adjust and what equalization we can do to the loop to make it sound better. So as you clearly hear, 150 Hz is basically just a Reese bass, and Reese bass is used mostly in R&B as well as 808, so we need to make it standing out in the mix and more present than the melody loop itself. So what I'm gonna do is just to make it more loud, especially this band, so just plus 4 dB of adjustments to the bass, and let's listen, compare like A, B, and if we actually did better with that loop. We can go to the next elements, and as I told, we have a lot of them in our pack, and I really missing vocal. I really like this moonlight loop, but as for me it needs to be very much in the background, you know. But firstly let me adjust this loop to the key and to the BPM of our song. So it's already 130 BPM, so we just need to put it about 3 semitones higher. You can always experiment just with going -9 instead of +3 and listen how it sounds in the context of the mix. If it sounds better, I usually suggest to make the vocals slower, because you know, it doesn't interrupt the melody too much. Let's make just really small adjustment to the vocal, and I really want it to be drowned in the reverb. So let's use stock plugin called Fruity Reverb and just make it a little bit more wet. The difference by itself is really subtle, but it helps to make the mix a little bit balanced, and it's important to have all elements on their places. Like if the drums are the main focus and the melody is more in the background, so the vocal need to be completely in the background, you know. We have a lot of different folders in our pack, and this makes for you a lot of choice of what elements you want to add to the pack, right? So if you are going to SFX, and it's basically like a sound effects, we have field recordings, impacts, reverse and soundscapes, and if you feel like the melody is not filling the spectrum completely, you can take a listen for the soundscapes and choose if it's a good fit and a great addition to existing mix. As for me, the soundscape could be a really nice addition, and luckily it's already 130 BPM, so we basically need just to add 3 more semitones and change the stretch mode so it won't sounding too unnatural. You can also add reverb to the soundscape, or you can just make it the same insert as the vocal loop. To make the transitions more interesting, I suggest to use reverse effects like this symbol. Remember that all effects are already stretched and matching the grid perfectly, so you don't need to make any adjustment to the length and etc. Just make sure that your BPM is following the BPM on the sample itself, right? So you see, just in about 10 minutes I already have a track that I can extend, arrange, do a little bit of basic mixing, and it will be a ready to go beat. And I have there already a bass loop, an additional melody, and a soundscape, and of course vocal loop, and even we did a little bit of cool transitions that I really like, because you know, in R&B there don't need to be a lot of transitions, but anyway it's a good way to make sometimes your beat interesting. So if you like this video, please let us know, leave some comments, some feedback, also put thumbs up on this video, because we plan to do a lot of content like this. Make sure to check the pack itself. It's called Soundwave R&B Essentials, and it's available on Lender. You can download any of the samples you like without downloading all the pack, you know. So I hope you like this video, and see you soon in the next episodes of this kind of pack reviews. See you later, and peace.